Begins with a little girl playing around. Suddenly, while playing, she finds herself face to face with the savage Trolloc monsters. And if you remember, we saw these monsters in the first season. In short, they're creatures that serve the Dark One. Anyway, the little girl gets scared of them, so she quickly runs into a place to hide. This place is surprising because it is dark and we know that he is still alive. At that moment, the Dark One was meeting with his important followers, telling them about someone named Rand. Rand is supposedly the dragon. The Dark One tried to kill him, but didn't realize that by doing so, he actually set him free instead. Now, the Dark One orders his followers to find Rand, wanting to recruit him and use his power in the war against the Aes Sedai witches. Meanwhile, the Dark One senses the little girl who entered earlier, so he quickly goes to her, and we discover he knows her well. He asks, "What are you afraid of?" She tells him she's afraid of the Trolloc monsters, so the Dark One reassures her and takes her to them, showing her how to deal with them so they won't harm her. The Dark One is happy the little girl learns quickly, then decides to keep her, and I'll tell you who this little girl is. Very good, but that's for later. But for now, we go to Moiraine. We find out that ever since her battle with Rand against the Dark One and her loss of power, she has completely withdrawn from life. Literally, she's staying with some friends in a remote village until she figures out how to regain her power. We see that Lan is also staying with her. Lan was training, but suddenly spots a horseman approaching. So he quickly gathers himself and goes to Moiraine's companions, 2 women and a man staying with her. The important thing is Lan tells them there's a horseman coming for Moiraine, so they ask if he knows who it is. But Lan tells them he doesn't know who it is, because since Moiraine lost her power, she hasn't been able to sense anything from Lan, and their bond was broken. This bothers Lan, because any warder of an Aes Sedai always has a bond with her, but since Moiraine lost her power, that bond was destroyed. Lan brings the horseman to Moiraine, then leaves. Moiraine talks with the horseman, and we learn his name is Bale, and today he has come to Moiraine with a stone called the Heart Stone. Supposedly, this stone is meant to restore Moiraine's power, but Moiraine realizes the stone is fake and refuses to take it. Then Bale says, besides the stone, he also has a powerful poem. Well, more a spell than a poem. More precisely, the Aes Sedai are supposed to use such poems for many things. Moiraine buys the poem from him, and Bale leaves to return to his city. Afterwards, Moiraine keeps reading and studying the poem, but while she's sitting there, Lan comes and asks what Bale wanted. Moiraine refuses to tell him, so he gets upset and leaves. At night, Lan has dinner with Moraine's friends. They're surprised Moiraine didn't come, so they talk to Lan and find out what happened between him and Moiraine. They keep advising him to take the food and go to Moiraine himself, to try to have dinner with her and get close to her again, because she's going through a tough time after losing her power, so he needs to be by her side. Lan is convinced, so he takes the food and goes to her, but doesn't find Moiraine there. We see Moiraine at that moment taking her horse to escape, but she doesn't get anywhere because suddenly one of the Fade's knights appears. And if you don't remember, the Fade's knights are extremely powerful warriors who serve the shadow, and they also look terrifying because all their facial features are erased, except for their mouths. Moiraine fights a knight and kills him, but before she can celebrate, another knight arrives, injures her, and is about to kill her. Then Lan arrives and kills him. The night isn't over yet. Suddenly more knights appear. Lan fights hard, but numbers overcome bravery. They overpower Lan and almost kill him. Luckily, at that moment, Moiraine's friends arrive, and they also have magical powers, so they fight the knights and finish them off. After everything is over, they decide to sit aside for a bit to heal Moiraine and Lan. Now we go to the White Tower, Ridi, where all the Aes Sedai women gather. We see that Egwene has joined the Aes Sedai, but she's still training in magic. So for now, her job is just to train and serve the sorceresses. And now, when she finishes her work, she goes to the tower's kitchen, where she meets Nynaeve. And here we discover that Nynaeve also came with her, and both of them are serving and training in the tower. The important thing is, while they're sitting there, one of the Aes Sedai sorceresses named we learn that Alanna is the one supervising their magic training, along with the other girls. And now, she's trying to teach them something new, which is how to use magic to manipulate water and earth. So she brings them a glass of water filled with dirt, and teaches them the method to separate the water from the dirt using magic. But unfortunately, Nynaeve fails this test. We find out here that she's been failing these tests for quite a while and hasn't been able to use her power. So Alanna talks to her and tells her she has a very strong power, possibly stronger than anyone else here. But something is preventing her from using it. This issue is psychological, and she needs to work on it and figure out exactly what's stopping her from using her power. But Nynaeve has lost hope she'll ever use magic because she's failed so many times. She doesn't care about what Alanna says. Alanna gets upset but doesn't comment and just leaves to sit with the Aes Sedai witches. Then Alanna talks to her superior, saying she still can't teach Nynaeve, one of the witches, and tells the leader the world is in danger. If you remember, there was a war last season between the Trollocs and the city of Faldara, and now the Dark One's servant has stolen a horn from there called the Horn of Valer. And this horn is supposed to summon powerful beings to fight alongside you if you blow it. Right now, that horn is with the forces of darkness, putting them in great danger. Liandrin also tells the leader someone claiming to be the dragon has taken over a city called Saldea. People say he's extremely powerful, and they still don't know how they'll fight him. So with all this danger, it's hard for them to face it alone, and they need a witch with immense power like Nynaeve. And no one else has that kind of power except Nynaeve. So she asks the leader to let her train Nynaeve herself. The leader agrees, even though Egwene is against it. Liandrin is pleased and goes to Nynaeve, but instead of teaching her anything, she attacks her with a strange magical force and manages to strip Nynaeve of all her power. She talks to Nynaeve and tells her that now, if she has enough determination, she can regain all her power, and not only that, but she'll also be able to control and understand it. Now, it's all in her hands, and if she wants to become a sorceress, she can do it easily. Liandrin leaves her, walks away upset, and almost losing her mind, but does nothing. Instead, she sits with her friend and doesn't mention anything about what happened. Instead, she tells her that they received a letter from their friend Perrin, since today is the festival in their homeland, the Two Rivers. So, they start reading the letter and are very happy. We also see that Byrne in the message told them that they are ugly, and not only them, but he died as well, and no one knows where he is until now. We see he's imprisoned in a cell in an unknown place, and she comes to him. We find out she locked him up here without anyone else knowing. Now, she reads Perrin's letter, but doesn't mention Perrin asked about him. Instead, she tells him all his friends hate him because he betrayed them and joined the Shadow. That's why he has to prove them wrong. She leaves him and walks away, and he's in a really bad state, almost driven mad ever since his power was separated from him last season. At this point, we still don't know why she kidnapped him, but it's clear her intentions are anything but good. Moving on, we go to Perrin, who is currently traveling with an Ogier, as you may recall, and a group of soldiers from the city of Faldara. We learn that they are journeying across the world, searching for Padan to retrieve the Horn of Valeri from him. They are now heading to a specific location. There is supposed to be someone with Elias is a person who has some special abilities when it comes to hiding traces, right? And apparently he sent them a message, asking them to come because he knows something about Padan. And indeed, after not too long, they arrive at Elias. He immediately tells them that he reached this place and discovered a group of dead people there. Thanks to his ability, he knew that the one who killed them was Padan. After that, Elias takes them to see all the bodies of these people. But at that moment, his eyes start to change and become like a wolf's eyes, because he has a power similar to a wolf, as we know. The important thing is, as soon as his eyes change, he starts to see everything that happened. He sees Padan and his soldiers killing those people and capturing a little girl, the only child who survived. Perhaps this girl is the same one who was with the Dark One at the beginning. We still don't know why they took her and didn't kill her along with the others. But aside from all that, he and all the soldiers start burying all the bodies and also perform their funeral rituals. They decide that after that, they will continue searching for Padan, and indeed they start moving around here and there. After a while, they start searching a lot for Padan and his group, and they also had someone with them to help track the traces left by Padan and his group. Anyway, on their way, they come across a house, so they go inside. At that moment, Perrin has a vision of what happened there. He sees the family who lived there were killed by Padan's group and the White Cloaks. That's not the real problem. The problem is that, for a moment, Perrin thought it was real. He couldn't control the vision he was having, so he keeps giving him advice to help him learn to control the vision, since he has an ability just like Perrin's. But Perrin doesn't really trust him, so he doesn't pay much attention to what he says. Anyway, they continue on their way and are surprised to find the corpse of one of the White Cloaks, and they have no idea who killed him, but still they don't care and just keep moving. After that, they reach a village and decide to rest there. Up to this point, everything is fine. But what's not fine is that at night, Perrin wakes up to find two of the Badan people dragging him by his leg. Perrin is shocked at that moment to see that many of the Badan are fighting with the soldiers of Valda, who had actually been with Perrin just before. Perrin keeps trying to break free from those dragging him, but he fails. Luckily, some soldiers with him see what's happening and free him. Perrin then helps fight the Badan group. He finds a group of soldiers trying to restrain an Ogier, helps them, frees the Ogier, and they all keep fighting with all their might. Suddenly, some dark friend sorceresses appear and use magic to strike down Perrin and everyone with him in the blink of an eye, defeating them all easily. The next day, Perrin finds himself tied up with his army, villagers, and soldiers surrounding them. Amid all this, a royal procession arrives, led by a queen whose identity we don't quite see. With her is the Dark One we know. Here we discover this isn't actually the Dark One, but just, his assistant. Nothing more than that. And honestly, my friend, I know things are all mixed up. But to understand all of this, we need to go to Moiraine and Lan, since right now, they're recovering after the last battle. So Moiraine decides to go to the White Tower. Even though that's not allowed, since she's been exiled from there. Still, she decides to go, and she and Lan, her companion, set out on their way to the White Tower. On the road, they camp and sit together talking. It becomes clear that Moiraine and Lan's relationship has improved a lot compared to before. After that, Moiraine tells Lan she won't go to the White Tower. Instead, he will go with Elena and her guards, who arrive to meet Moiraine and surprise him. Lan asks Moiraine why she's sending him to the White Tower. So where is she going then? Moiraine tells him that she discovered the darkness that she and Rand freed wasn't actually the Dark One, but rather his powerful lieutenant, called. She explains that when they fought him, Rand didn't actually finish him off. Instead, they freed him from his prison. She says she'll look for Rand and figure out how to stop the darkness from destroying the world. This is dangerous for him, so she asked Alanna to take him and her warders to the White Tower. Of course he gets upset because he never wanted to leave Moiraine, but she insists, leaves him and goes her way. Speaking of Rand, he finds himself in a place where he's killing all his friends, and they've all died. In the midst of all this, he sees the Dark One's lieutenant, who is Ishamael, and he doesn't understand anything, then suddenly wakes up because it was all just a nightmare. But as soon as he wakes up, he hears a voice inside his head telling him, "You will kill them all. You will kill them all." And lately, this has been happening to Rand a lot. And he still doesn't understand what's happening to him. But of course we understand that Ishamael wants to blame him. Why? The important thing is that at this point, we discover that Rand is living with a married woman. He's currently living with her in a remote village. So it's normal. He leaves her for now and goes to his job at a psychiatric hospital where he cares for an old patient named Iran. Now he takes Iran out for a walk, but there's an annoying, bullying nurse who bothers and mocks Iran for no reason. This upsets Rand, so he threatens the nurse, saying if he bothers Iran again, he'll make him regret it. But the nurse doesn't care and just walks away. That same night, Rand goes to a bar where that nurse is hanging out. So he sees the nurse get up and starts following him until they're in a secluded, empty place. Then he attacks the nurse and starts beating him with all his strength. We see darkness has taken over Rand because he keeps hitting the man without feeling. He shows no mercy or compassion, even hitting him with magical force, not just ordinary blows. But for a moment he realizes what he's doing, so he runs away and goes home, not understanding how he could have done that. Anyway, the night passes and he sleeps. The next day, he goes to the hospital, and the director, who is also a doctor, tells Rand that from today, he'll care for another patient, the one previously cared for by the nurse who attacked him yesterday. He agrees and goes to see this patient. It turns out to be Logain. If you don't remember, he claimed to be the dragon and tried to get rid of the Aes Sedai. But at that time, Moiraine and the other Aes Sedai managed to capture him and strip him of his power. But now, Rand and Logain are happy to see each other again, as if they both wanted this, and we still don't know what they're going to do together. Was an event for another time. But for now, we go back again to the White Tower. At the White Tower, by chance, one of the novices there meets a girl. She sits with her, befriends her, and learns from her that she is the heir to the throne of the Kingdom of Andor. And if you don't know Andor, it's a great kingdom in the Two Rivers region, which is actually where she's from. On the other hand, she's currently wandering around the place with the woman who has become her teacher. Then you take her to the Medicine Witches. This is a group of witches who use magic for healing purposes and nothing more. The important thing is, she actually learns a few things from them. Afterwards, the healer goes out to talk to Rand and tells her that she's sure she possesses great power and must officially join, and that for this reason, she's going to have her take the Arches test. This test is supposed to make her face her worst fears, and she has to overcome them. And with that, she would officially become one of the Aes Sedai witches and possess great power. This way, she would be able to defeat the darkness and protect the world. At that moment, you could say Nynaeve likes this. She decides to take the test. Then she leaves Liandrin, gives Matt food, then leaves. So after she leaves, Matt grabs a spoon and starts digging into the wall because he's decided he's going to escape. He keeps digging until he manages to remove a brick from the wall. He's surprised to find that he's looking into another cell. In that cell, there's a girl named Min, and if you don't remember from Two Mouths, she's a girl who can see visions of the future. Min helps him, removes some bricks, crosses from her cell, sits with him, and they start talking. You could say they start to like each other, and we find out Min was expelled from the Aes Sedai. They were chasing her, and they actually managed to catch her and imprison her. Anyway, after they finish talking, Min leaves. But at that moment, she has a vision of Matt's future. In this vision, she sees Matt killing Rand, and she doesn't understand anything at all, but we'll all understand later on. At the same time, you go with the head of new recruits, whose name is Shireen, and enter the place where you will take the Arch test. The Arches test consists of 3 gates that look exactly like arches. All Nynaeve knows at that moment is that each gate will open, and she must enter it. When she does, she'll be transported to something like a parallel world, where she'll face many challenges that she must survive. And the return gate will open only once at any time, and at that moment she must exit through it to come back, or else she'll be trapped in that parallel world forever. They also tell her that once she decides to start the test, there's no turning back, she must see it through to the end. Shireen and one of the witches was strong enough to open the first gate, Nynaeve passes through it and finds herself in a strange place where Father approaches and takes her to wash her hands. Nynaeve is confused and is unsure what's happening. What's stranger is that when she looks into the water, she sees her reflection as a child. Then she realizes she's been sent back to when she was a little girl. At that moment, a strange group appears and attacks her father, trying to kill him. Nynaeve's mother arrives, kills them, and takes Nynaeve and her father as they escape, the group chasing them until they reach their house. They quickly hide Nynaeve in the grave, while her parents stay to fight the strange group. Nynaeve wants to save them, but suddenly the gateway back opens, so she returns, and finds herself in front of Liandrin and Sheriam, who immediately open another gateway. She steps through and boom, she's transported to her homeland, the Two Rivers, in the hospital where she used to treat people. But everyone here is sick, so she realizes that when she left the village long ago, a major epidemic spread and started killing everyone. One of the infected people even begs her to treat them. Then the return gateway opens, forcing Nynaeve to go back. She returns to the Aes Sedai, and they open the final gateway for her. Passing through, Nynaeve keeps seeing a strange vision, herself being killed, because she returns to the real world with the Aes Sedai. At that moment, she is shocked and feels there is danger, because don't forget, my friend, she used to love him since last season. So she quickly rushes to him, and after a moment of thought, decides to give up joining, and leaves to look for him. Of course, she tries to convince her to change her mind, but she doesn't listen. She decides to leave the tower, says goodbye to Egwene, gathers her things, and leaves. On her way, she meets the one who was coming to the tower, and tells him everything. She says she's going back to her hometown. So-and-so, who loves her, goes with her, and they get married. They leave together, and everything seems fine. But all this is actually happening inside the portal, in a parallel world, not reality. Because in the real world, we see that everyone is waiting for Nynaeve to come back, but she doesn't return. Everyone gets upset, and realizes she's now lost in the world of the Arches and surely dead. At that moment, she becomes very sad, and goes to the one she knows, and then decides to let him go and leave. I know this sounds strange, but I'll explain later. Why did she let him go? He decides to escape and takes her as they leave the tower. They start getting ready to run far from the tower. But in the midst of all this, she leaves Matt to prepare things, using the excuse that she's going to get some things they'll need for the journey. But in reality, she goes to meet someone, and here we discover that they had an agreement because she wanted to escape with Matt. Anyway, she asks someone to take him to a certain place for now, and we'll understand why later. At the same time, they were going to check on her, but when they get to her room, they find her packing her things. So they ask her about Nynaeve, and she tells them that she stayed at one of the archway gates, and is definitely dead. Of course, she's shocked and can't believe it to the point that she goes to sit in the archway room herself, hoping that Nynaeve will come back. Speaking of Nynaeve, we see that she's still alive in her parallel world. And not only that, she even had a child with Lan, and is living happily with Lan, her daughter, and also her friends. But today, while they're all sitting together, suddenly monsters attack them, and kill everyone except her. She is literally about to lose her mind, and doesn't know what to do. But at that moment, the portal of the Arches opens, so she quickly goes through and finds herself back in the real world, just like normal. In front of her, she sees Juan, shocked by everything she saw in that parallel world. As a result, she keeps crying a lot. Anyway, we'll leave her for now and move on, sir, to where he sits with Logan. And here, we finally find out why he wants Logan. In short, Rand tells Logan that he wants him to help him control the magical power inside him, otherwise he might die. Because, my friend, don't forget that in this world, only women can use magic, as we saw in the previous season. The important thing is that Logan tells Rand he'll help him, but only if Rand brings him a specific wine. Rand reluctantly agrees and asks his wife Selene where they can get it. Selene says it's easy, so they disguise themselves and go to a party thrown by wealthy people, where they steal the expensive wine. Rand goes to Logain, gives him wine and asks how to control the power. Logain says he will never control it. If he tries, it will end up controlling him. Of course, Rand gets angry at Logain for deceiving him, so he argues with him and goes back home, all the while thinking about what he can do to control his power. But it seems Logain was right. For example, now he's losing control over his power, and because of that, he burns down his entire house. Thankfully, he and Selene escape. Still, Rand becomes certain that no matter what he does, he'll never get rid of this power. Moving away from Rand, we go to Perrin. Perrin is currently standing with all those captured with him, in front of Ishamael and the queen with him. And here we learn that this queen's name, she is the queen of a great empire, but it was forcefully taken from her a long time ago. Now, with help from Ishamael and the Shadow, she's reclaiming her empire, and this village she occupied is her first step to restoring it. The thing is, she's completely insane. For example, she demands a prisoner kneel and pledge allegiance. But this person refuses, so she orders her men to kill him, and they actually do it in a brutal way. So everyone gets scared, including the rest, and they immediately kneel to Surus. After that, Everyone is put into carts and transported to her homeland to work there as slaves. At that moment, someone approaches Perrin, introduces himself as Ishamael, and says he is one of the Shadow's followers Perrin saw in his dreams. Perrin mocks him, saying Rand killed him. How is he alive? Ishamael explains Rand didn't kill him, but set him free. He also says he knows Perrin has great power and can become a wolf, so he wants him to join. Perrin refuses, but Ishamael says he will join him whether he wants to or not, then leaves. After that, a fierce attack by a pack of wolves takes place on Perrin's wagon and the other wagons. Thankfully, Elias arrives, opens the wagon, and we discover that he was the one who brought the wolves, then to free Perrin and any of the other prisoners. After that, he escapes with the wolves, and they sit somewhere to eat. He continues to teach him more and more about his ability as a wolf brother. So we leave him there, learning on his own. And we go back again to the White Tower, where, my friend, we see that she receives a message. She takes this message and goes with it to the keeper. This guard is one of the witches. She is the assistant to the leader of all Aes Sedai. Liandrin tells the keeper she learned from this message about an attack on the west by Queen Suroth. The keeper asks why she didn't send Aes Sedai to stop it, then says she is free to decide what to do. She thinks that the West is always at war anyway, so it's not a big deal. Liandrin gets upset by this and leaves without a word, then goes to sit with Nynaeve, who has been in a bad state since she came out of the Arches. So Liandrin starts comforting her. After that, she tells her she received a message about an attack in the West. In that attack, Perrin was affected, along with an Ogier. No Aes Sedai went to help. Which makes Nynaeve very upset, so she decides to go rescue her friends, Loyal and Perrin. So she goes to Egwene and asks her for help, and Egwene decides to help her. And it's not just her. Elaine also goes with them, and they take a secret path out to escape from the tower. Because Egwene and the others are not officially Aes Sedai yet, so technically they're not allowed to leave. Anyway, as they're about to escape, suddenly someone appears in front of them and knocks all three of them out. Why did you do that? We still don't know. But in general, we get the sense that she's working, in one way or another, for the benefit of the Shadow. This is confirmed when we go to Min, who is sitting with Mat in a tavern. And after that, they go up to sleep in rooms at the inn. But Min doesn't sleep because she suddenly has a vision. At this moment, we find out that Min made a deal with Lanfear to help her take someone where she wanted. In return, Lanfear would make it so that Min could no longer see any visions of the future. Because this whole thing has really exhausted her. Ishamael learns from Min Lanfear sent her to meet him. She tells him he wants her to take someone to a certain city. If she succeeds, he will remove her ability to see the future. She agrees to his terms, though she's afraid, and decides to take them to the city he mentioned. On the other side, in the city where Rand is staying, we see a wealthy elderly woman in this city named Anvair. Today, Anvair prepares to meet her older sister. After a while, her older sister arrives, and we discover it's Moiraine. I know you might not understand how. Moiraine is actually older than Anvair, but I just want to tell you that the Aes Sedai have the ability to live for many years while keeping the same appearance. That's why Anvair looks older than Moiraine, even though she's younger. Moiraine tells Anvair she's here for business, will leave soon, says goodbye, and leaves. Then Moiraine goes to the mental hospital and meets Logain, who can't stand her and wants to kill her because she took away his power in Season 1. Now, Moiraine tells him she'll restore his power, but on 2 conditions. First, he tells her where Rand is. Second, he helps Rand and teaches him to control his power. So Logain agrees, and they make this deal. Speaking of Rand, he's fixing up Celene's house that burned down. And Selene comes to him then and suggests they travel somewhere for a change of scenery while the workers rebuild. Rand agrees and goes with her. After a while, Moiraine arrives but doesn't find them, so she gets very upset, gathers herself, and heads back home. There, she talks with her sister Anvair and asks her if she knows where they are. Luckily, Anvair pretty much knows everything that's going on in the city. With ease, Moiraine finds Rand's location and, delighted, sets out to go to him. Meanwhile, we see Rand on a mountain with Selene, but suddenly, one of the Fades attacks them. Rand quickly fights him but can't defeat him, so he's forced to use his magic and finishes off the Fade. At that moment, Selene realizes his power and is afraid of him, but Rand tries to calm her, so she relaxes and forgets everything, for now. Right now, he lives with Elaine, her 2 guards, and her family. He suffers from problems being away from Moiraine, but still tries to overcome them. And up to this point, there aren't any problems. Problems start when Elaine receives a dangerous message, so she quickly gathers her 2 guards, without Lan, and finds out the message is actually a poem of blood, or let's say a kind of spell. This is the same poem Moiraine received at the very beginning, and her guards find out she learned from this poem that Ishamael has freed one of the Dark One's followers, named Lanfear is powerful and can reach Rand then Moiraine, and fight them all. That's why Moiraine insisted on staying away from land, because she learned it from the poem. So she distanced herself to keep him from getting hurt. But wait, who is actually? She is Selena, Rand's wife. We find this out now because she's with Rand when Moiraine bursts in and attacks. Rand loses it and is about to fight her, but Moiraine tells him she's not human, but Lanfear, one of the most powerful followers of the Shadow. She explains Lanfear isn't actually dead. She'll get up again soon. She's here to harm them, so they all need to escape. Rand escapes with Moiraine, and as soon as they leave, we see that sure enough, she opens her eyes and returns to normal as if nothing happened. Anyway, they keep running for a long time, until they finally get some distance away. At this point, he asks, what's going on? Rand learns that back in the day when he fought the Dark One, he actually didn't fight the Dark One. Ishamael was the Dark One's helper. Unfortunately, by doing that, he was helping free him from the prison he was trapped in. He learns the Dark One is chasing him to possess and recruit him. That's why I came to help you. This talk shakes Rand, and he decides to run away with Moiraine without objections. So they go together to a woman, take 2 horses from her, and escape with those horses. They go to the house of Neva, Moiraine's sister, and there they find Neva's son, Barsa. Moiraine welcomes him warmly because she hasn't seen him in a long time. Moiraine goes up to her room, and after some thought, she brings Rand in and talks to him. Rand realizes that if they keep running, she will still keep searching for them. That's why they have to play it differently with her. She asks Rand to sleep. She will appear to him in his dreams, and then he can trap her. So Rand goes to sleep and starts dreaming. Now we move to Kashmir and Queen Suls, who are with Sul's army and the prisoners, including an Ogier, heading to Hylan. There, the king of Hylan is present, and his name is Turak. Here, we learn Sul's rules under Turak, and is just a small part of the royal court. Turak scolds Suls for occupying a city behind his back, and punishes her by dismissing her from the court and sending her to her room. After, Ashamel tells Turak, Pasame, he has brought a gift, and brings it in, making King Turak very happy, because his dream is to rule the world, and of course, this will help him a lot. The next day, Wajwan and Aelan hand themselves over to Sirs, and we confirm Elian Train is working for Darkness because she wants something from him, which we'll find out later. The important thing is she hands the 3 to Sirs, then leaves. As soon as she leaves, Aelan and Wajwan start fighting Cers's soldiers and witches. They manage to push him away from them and begin to escape, and they succeed in getting away, but unfortunately she gets caught. Then we continue with Nynaeve and Elaine, as they go to a city that also belonged to Sirs, so they can hide there. But that doesn't happen, because out of nowhere, a strange man appears and attacks them both, knocking them unconscious. The next day, when they wake up, that stranger comes to them with a woman. The woman reveals herself to be an Aes Sedai, and the stranger is her warder. As soon as he saw them, he realized they were with the group, so he kidnapped them to keep Cers's men from reaching them. She also learns that when Cers's men catch any witch, they do terrible things to her. Thank God they managed to escape. When Nynaeve and Elaine heard this, they became worried about Egwene and had no idea what was happening to her. Then we go to Falme to find out what happened to Egwene. Now Ishamael goes to King Turak and asks him to forgive Suroth because she is good and has brought him a valuable gift. Turak agrees and allows her to come in Dayu with this gift, so she enters, bringing the gift with her is Egwene. At that moment, they put a collar around her neck and treat her exactly like a dog. And we learn that they will keep treating her like this until she masters her magical powers and also becomes obedient to the king. And for reasons unknown, they might do something else to her as well. On the other hand, my friend decides to leave to try to rescue Ogier and the other prisoners. On his way, he is surprised to find people locked in cages and feels especially sorry for one, a girl named Venda, so he decides to free her. Then a man named Dane appears. Dane says these prisoners belong to the White Cloaks, so it's better for him to leave them. He agrees with him while he is silent and wears white robes. They're a very extremist group. We saw them last season. Anyway, he decides to spend the night in a room there and leave the next day. While he's sitting in his room, the leader of the White Cloaks, Valda, shows up. Then Dane comes in and gives him money to buy her because she's extremely powerful. They actually agree on everything, and everything goes smoothly. But he had a different idea. He goes to Fenda and frees her from her cage as well. But just before they escape, suddenly the White Cloaks, led by Dane, show up. Immediately, Fenda and Perrin start fighting them in an intense battle. Fenda and Perrin take out everyone except Dane. They leave him alive and escape. They head to the kingdom of Helene, hoping to free someone from captivity. At the same time, on the other side, Rand was still in the dream and Lanfear was right in front of him. He tries to make her believe he loves her, and she starts to believe him a little. Encouraged, Rand asks about Ishamael's location, and she says she'll tell him, but only if he stays away from Moiraine. She claims Moiraine isn't good because she sent Logain here to make him teach you magic. Even though she knows you want to get rid of this power, she didn't respect your wishes. Then Rand wakes up startled, tells her he'll stay away from her completely, leaves and goes back to sleep. This time, he dreams he killed all his friends, just like he always used to. But she appears at that moment, keeps talking to him, and tells him she can give him many great powers. For example, she can take him into anyone's dream and ask him to just name anyone and she'll make him go to them. So he tells her he wants to see, and she transports him to Egwene, who is in the cell guarded by soldiers. And when he sees her, of course he feels sorry for her, so he keeps asking where exactly she is. But she refuses to tell him and asks him to first learn how to control his magical power and to fight and defeat Ishamael as well. Then she'll tell him the location. He doesn't waste any time and goes to the hospital where he starts learning from everything around him. After that, he goes home. But before he enters the house, he sees her in the city. And we find out that this is the city Ishamael told her to bring him to. The important thing is, of course, they can't believe they found each other again, and they keep hugging each other lovingly and sit together. And he keeps telling her everything that happened to him. In the end, Matt finds out that he's traveling tomorrow and will look for Ishamael to kill him, so he decides to join him. But then, Matt leaves him and goes to tell her that Rand is joining. At that moment, Min realizes this is what Ishamael wanted because now Matt will kill Rand, just as she saw in her vision. And because Min truly cares about Matt, she realizes he can't go with him because he'll kill him. So Matt is shocked and changes his mind. At the same time, we see she decides to leave her guards and run away. But her guards catch up with her and ask why she tried to escape. They find out he was escaping to protect Moiraine because he's felt for a while she's in danger. She then uses the chance to ask what he's found out, and if he knows anything, they don't. He tells her that Moiraine found the dragon, Rand, to protect him from being imprisoned, cut off from his power, or going mad. She feared she'd sense his presence, so you went mad and told the truth from the leader of the Aes. She then tells everyone everything immediately. She gathers herself and goes to Moiraine at her sister's place. We don't know what to do with her now. Then one of the witches named Rena comes and keeps asking Egwene to obey her so she can learn magic. But Egwene refuses and tries to attack her. So Rena keeps torturing her using the collar she's wearing around her neck. But that didn't work, and she kept trying for a long time to break free and attack Rena. But she failed and was literally tortured a lot. So in the end, she decided to submit to Rena. Then Rena started teaching her magic, preparing her to become one of the witches. At the same time, they sit with the previous witch, whose name is Rima, by the way, and she tells her everything about her abduction and all of that. So she decides to free her. As a result, she goes with her guardian to set her free. But unfortunately, the witches ambush them and kill Rima's guardian, and Yathira witnesses all this, terrified and not knowing what to do. On the other side, with Moiraine, Siuan takes her to the White Tower and starts interrogating her, clearly unable to stand. Moiraine, because she lied and didn't say she lost her powers or found the Dragon Reborn. Siuan says from now on she will make decisions with Rand and immediately kicks Moiraine out and brings Rand in. Siuan starts talking to him, telling him she will keep him locked up in the White Tower. If Ashmal reaches him, they will use him as a weapon to destroy the world, and no one wants that to happen. Siuan also tells him she will teach him to use his power, but only under her and the other Aes Sedai's supervision. All this talk made Rand angry, so he prepared to attack Siuan. After that, she asks where he was traveling, and he says to the kingdom of Helen, to the city of Falm, because Egwene was kidnapped there and he needs to rescue her. She laughs and says the dragon is supposed to reveal himself there, which is why the Dark One wants him to go. But that's not going to happen. He'll be revealed here in the White Tower, and only here. She comes over, and when she learns what Siuan did, she disapproves and asks her to release Rand. But Siuan refuses and locks Rand up in a cell. While he's sleeping, he meets Anver in his dream and asks her to help him escape so he can travel, fight Ishamael, and rescue Egwene. She agrees, gathers herself, and starts roaming the city, setting it on fire as she goes. As a result, all the Aes Sedai get involved and go to put out the fires, except for the warder with Moiraine and Rand guarding them to prevent escape. At that moment, one of Moiraine's friends, seen at the beginning, comes to her, lies and says Siuan wants her help, so the warder leaves and they escape. Moiraine, her friend, and Rand leave together to meet Liandrin, and they all talk. From their conversation, we learn they had planned to help Rand escape and get him to where he can kill Ishamael. Now Moiraine gathers everyone and takes Rand, and they go to a place where there is supposed to be a magical gate that will open a direct path to Falme for them. And indeed, before Rand uses his power to open the gate, he asks Moiraine to open it herself because her power hasn't been blocked as she thought. Because in fact, no one from the shadow can block the power from any of the Aes Sedai. It's just an illusion, nothing more. Moiraine gathers her courage, and with Rand's help, she is actually able to channel her power again and opens the gate. But before they can go through it, Siuan arrives and stops them, intending to prevent them from going anywhere. But then, at that moment, she strikes Siuan, opens the gate, and goes through it along with Moiraine, Rand, and Lan on their way. The problem, however, is that she decides to betray them, suddenly opening a gate and sending only Moiraine and Lan through, so they find themselves in a place very far from the city, so they decide to keep going anyway, but now on foot. As for Rand, he stays with Lanfear inside the ways, and she tells him that she's going to take him to Falme through a shortcut, but she sent Moiraine and Lan away because she doesn't trust them. Until they arrive, we switch to a camp belonging to the White Cloaks. We see that they are currently preparing themselves because they intend to start a war against the city of Falme to reclaim it under their rule. And indeed, they keep getting ready to move out to there. We also see that with him are two of Finda's relatives, and they're all on their way to the city in Falme itself. There, she arrives at Ishamael and talks to him, telling him that she managed to recruit Rand to their side. And all that's left is for Ishamael to officially join the Shadow. Ishamael is delighted, not knowing at all that she actually hates him and is setting a trap for him. After Ishamael meets Rand, he gets up and goes to see Lanfear. Lanfear tells him that Mat is in the city and that he needs to recruit him to their side. He goes to Mat and asks him to join the Shadow. To convince him, he gives him the dagger Mat took last season from the abandoned city, which gave him power from the Shadow. Lanfear leaves Mat with the dagger and walks away so Mat can think about it and possibly return to the Shadow. But Mat refuses to touch the dagger. Instead, he attaches it to a stick, making a spear. He goes to Padan, kills the guards, leaves Padan, and escapes to reach his friends and help them. Meanwhile, in the midst of all this, the White Cloaks begin to attack the city. So all the Aes Sedai and those with them are forced to fight back and defend. At this point, Mat enters the city and quickly finds the king and his men. He defeats them instantly and moves on. Meanwhile, Perrin and his group meet the Ogier and his companions, who have escaped with the horn. Now, they start moving around, fighting off soldiers to protect the horn. Why? And find their friends. As for Egwene, the Aes Sedai training her tells her she must come with her, onto a ship so they can attack the White Cloaks on the water, but she refuses. But before the Aes Sedai can do anything to her, a shell hits the tower they're in and destroys it. Because of that, she is able to break free from the collar Rhaena put on her, attacks Rhaena, and finishes her off completely. At that moment, Rand arrives, and she's overjoyed because she thought he was dead. But her happiness doesn't last because Ishamael shows up. I'll tell you what he does with them in a bit, but hold on for now. Now we go back to the middle of the battle and all this war, where Mat manages to reach his companion, takes the horn from him, and blows it. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the heroes of the horn appear. You could say these are the strongest heroes in all of history. They start helping everyone against Ishamael's soldiers and wipe them out with overwhelming force. Mat leaves everyone to help. But at that moment, he finds Ishamael standing in front of him and talking to him, so he throws the spear at him to kill him. But suddenly, he disappears. Ishamael and the spear, so the prophecy she saw about him comes true. She said that Mat would betray. But luckily, Rand won't die, because she comes and creates a protective barrier, stopping Ishamael from reaching and hurting him. All the attacks he launches are destroyed and hit the protective barrier. She also arrives and immediately starts healing. And he's okay, so he gets up and fights Ishamael. Finally. He defeats him and we're rid of him. But still, the danger isn't over yet, because the Seanchan and their sorceresses come from the sea and are about to attack Rand and kill him. But Egwene sees them, and she had just arrived at the city now. She quickly uses her power, attacks, and destroys the Seanchan fleet. The danger ends. Then, something unimaginable happens. Suddenly, a fire dragon appears and surrounds the tower where Rand is. This dragon and its appearance are a prophecy that happens with every dragon. The world knows Rand is the dragon. They prefer living their own lives, which is rare among people. She's happy for Rand, and this shows us that she truly loved him. It wasn't an act, nor was she betraying him. Overall, Lanfear finishes her celebrations, then heads off to her room. Here she is surprised to find one of the Darknesses assisting for her in the room. Moghedien spoke with Lanfear and told her that Ishamael had kept her and the other Dark One's helpers imprisoned because he didn't trust Lanfear. She then reveals that now, after Ishamael's death, she and the rest of the helpers are going to take out Lanfear, Rand, and everyone else, and that she's here to stay. She laughs at her maniacally, leaves her terrified, and walks away. This season of the series ends, but unfortunately, the series isn't finished yet. There's a third season, but also unfortunately, it hasn't been produced yet, and we might see it next year. So for now, that's all I can tell you. Goodbye.